my room of clutter. Alright, so today I will be talking about the new deluxe anniversary edition of Abbey Road. My thoughts on Abbey Road have changed over the years. Abbey Road became sort of a low-key album for me in the Beatles canon. You know, it didn't scream event to me the way Revolver did or Rubber Soul did. Now, I didn't feel that way the first time I heard it, which was Easter of 1982, when I got it finally on vinyl on the Purple Capitol label. But over the years, I played it, but the impact of it kept going away. I don't know why. Once I heard this thing, it has finally come back to me. That excitement that I heard, that initial feeling as a 9-year-old when I got it for Easter in 1982, that initial impact of hearing how well recorded this was and what turned out to be their final album. But it brought me back to being that 9-year-old again, obsessing with this album the way I did the White Album, which I got for Christmas of '81, and Sgt. Pepper, which I got in the fall of '81. To me, Abbey Road is a culmination of the 7 years the Beatles were recording, and I count 1962. So 62 to 69. 7 years, or 6 years if you want to count, just start in 63 when Please Please Me came out. Think of that short time span. To me, that is amazing. It takes most bands 5 years to come up with their follow-up to their debut album. I mean, look at this right here. How do you go, I mean, visually, from this in 1963 to this in 1969? So Abbey Road to me was a culmination of everything they learned. The conceptual side, the rocking side, the ballad side, studio experimentation. It's all there. It's all there on this album. And it's no wonder why a lot of people consider Abbey Road the masterpiece over Sgt. Pepper and Revolver. What do I think of the new mix? I love it. I love it. But now let's be fair here. The 1969 mix was not a bad mix whatsoever. In fact, as a lot of people have been saying, the 1969 mix was sort of a template for everything in the 70s. So 1969's album was, the mix was recorded very well. And I did a lot of A-Bing with the 2009 remaster of that mix on CD and this new mix. Very well recorded. Some things as far as stereo placing is still 1966. But that was a good mix. Very well recorded and very well put together. So what does Giles Martin do with having to remix this? Getting the commission to do a new mix. And I've been a fan of all of the mixes. Each of the mixes that Giles Martin has done, each had a different goal. So how do you remix this album and make it new and make it fresh and exciting? Well, he did it by not reinventing the wheel, which is great. He brought out certain details, he brought out certain clarity, and a lot of that happens by going back to the pre-bounce down tracks. The Beatles were working on 8-track this time. 8 tracks in the entire recording career. 2 tracks for the first 2 albums. 4 tracks, then 8-track. And at this time in America, America is working on 16-track. They still had to do some bouncing down of tracks. So Giles is able to go back to things that are pre-bounced down. He did a really good job with this mix. Probably the best of all of the mixes, although I like the other ones. But on this one, there's a lot more centered drums, but even then, even on You Never Give Me Your Money, he beefed that up a bit. Vocal harmonies are spread out a lot better. I love the way everything sounds on Come Together. You're able to hear the guitars better. You feel like you're right there in the room with these guys, which is what I love. In fact, with all of the mixes, that was the main goal for all 3, to get you in the room with the Beatles. Get you in the room with them. And come together, something, the whole first side of the album really works for me. A couple of things kind of threw me off at first, but then I appreciated them after the fact. Like, I was originally used to the underwater backing vocals during the guitar solo on Octopus's Garden, panning from one end to the other. But here, they're spread out, which is even more beautiful. The ahs on You Never Give Me Your Money were really incredible during the out of college sequence of that. What impressed me the most was how the orchestra on the final part of the medley really gives you goosebumps this time. The end, the final orchestral chord, it's now a beautiful curtain closer. And I love that. This new mix, and I'm talking overall, I'm not doing track by track, so I'm doing overall. It really makes the record breathe again. It makes it come alive again. Now, I have to tell people who would criticize that the 1969 mix is not going away. I know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, he's not fixing it. This is an alternative. The 1969 mix is not going away. The 2009 remaster is still there. You can get it on vinyl. You can get it on streaming sites. The original mix is not going away. The feel of this one is just incredible. Overall, I feel it's a beautiful job altogether with this new mix. And again, with the outtakes, they didn't go with stuff that's already out there on bootleg, because I'm sure they assume that a lot of the Beatle fans have the bootlegs already. So they're going with things that haven't been bootlegged, going with things that haven't been technically on the anthology, going with things that if they were on the anthology, they were on the anthology in a doctored form. Just some of the highlights for me: I Want You, She's So Heavy, the Trident recording session and reduction mix. First off, I love the dialogue at the beginning where engineer Glenn Johns says, "Guys, we're having complaints from the neighbors that you guys are too loud." And John goes, "Okay, well, let's do one more loud one, and then we'll do a quiet one. So, last chance to be loud." But Billy Preston, man, his soloing on that thing is just incredible. What an incredible musician, and one of the best, if not the best, Hammond B3 players out there. And he's in all of his glory. They let him go wild. I wish you could hear it on the original album during the outro of I Want You, She's So Heavy. But you hear it here. It is incredible. The band is rocking. I'm also hearing a guitar solo as well in there that was left off the original. But just incredible. Just incredible. The Come and Get It studio demo. We've heard it on the anthology, but a lot of the stuff for anthology was in doctored form. It was already completed back in 1986, I believe. There was, and I talked about this when we talked about the White Album last year. There was going to be a compilation called the Beatles Sessions, and Jeff Emmerich got back there and he remixed a lot of this stuff. The studio demo of Come and Get It, he basically decided to complete it. He added a lot of echo to it, a lot of reverb, something that didn't sound like a studio demo. This actually sounds like a studio demo, and I love it. And interesting, as people know, Badfinger version and this version are very identical. And another highlight for me is the long one, the trial, edit, and mix of the medley. I like that a lot because there's a lot of alternate vocals. It's good to hear Her Majesty in the running order of that. But to me, a lot of the alternate stuff in there is incredible. Like the crossfade between You Never Give Me Your Money and Sun King. On the actual album, it was a soundscape of tape loops that Paul created of a guitar note, wind chimes, and I think the crickets came from that. I could be wrong, but there was definitely swamp sounds in there that he looped. But primarily the wind chimes and a guitar. There's a moan in there too, I believe. Tape loops, which by the way on the new mix It's a much more smoother crossfade, which I love. But here they didn't have that. The crossfade is an organ note, E chord, which sounds very much like the crossfade on Dark Side of the Moon between Money and Us and Them. The crossfade is done by a little organ interlude by Rick Wright. So very similar, and I love that. But more importantly, Paul's vocal on Golden Slumbers in this is different. The emotion of that lyric got to him, and who knows, he could have been thinking of his mother, or he could have been thinking about the band. Paul doesn't let his emotions out sometimes, and he's basically crying in the lyric and holding back tears. He's trying to hold back tears. Very emotional for me. So I love the outtakes. They're really good. The 5.1 mix of this thing, this is an incredible 5.1 mix. I played the 5.1 DTS and the Dolby Atmos. I don't have an Atmos system, but I played the Atmos anyways because of the Dolby True HD substream. Sounds really good. The package is beautiful. The photos in here are beautiful. The liner notes by Kevin Hollett, who's now taken Mark Lewisohn's place. Kevin Hollett has uncovered a lot of detail since Mark Lewisohn has done the Beatles recording sessions book. I think Kevin Hollett needs to do an update of that. And I love the fact in the liner notes, he doesn't beat around the bush and he doesn't sugarcoat things. There's a great section about after the album was released. People seem to forget Abbey Road got mixed reviews when it came out. It really got mixed reviews. It was only through time people came to appreciate it. And he talks about the reviews and how a lot of the reviewers basically scrambled through the album and then rushed off their reviews and said, here it is. They really didn't sit and digest the album, because a lot of those critics years later would cite Abbey Road as the masterpiece. I love this set. I think it's a winner. I've loved all of these sets. I really can't find too much to criticize unless I get very nitpicky. But that is... I'm not going to be nitpicky about this stuff. I'm glad we are getting this stuff. I like the new mixes. I appreciate everything in this set. I appreciate everything that they are doing. And overall, I'm very happy with this. This has not left my turntable or my CD player since I've gotten it. And it's only going to continue to endure for me as everything goes on. This is a bit long, but thank you. I really appreciate it. And thank you to my new subscribers. I'm getting new subscribers a lot here. Thank you so much. Spread the word. I not only talk about the Beatles, but I talk about my love of movies and film, physical media, and also music in general. I haven't done a classic album in a long time. But thank you all. Please stick with me. Spread the word. And as always, be safe. Have a great day. And I'll talk to you soon.